Welcome to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keane. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. www.spreaker.com/user/Best Damn Podcast. Also, check us out, thebestdampodcast.tv. Follow me, Instagram at Best Damn Podcast, Twitter at The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from, make sure to subscribe, follow, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and share. The best way to support is by sharing. So share the link, help us get it out there. And if you'd like to donate support to the channel, you can do that in the links below. PayPal, Venmo, Patreon, Cash App, or Facebook Messenger. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. I don't know what was going on. I was trying to get started like 10 minutes ago, but like all three YouTube channels wasn't picking up the stream. But we're here now, though. That's the important thing. We're here now. Looks like we have Know Thyself, Johnny925, S. Moretti, Lower Class Citizen, Jocks, Renew, over on Facebook Live, Frank Rutherford, Gabriel, Ariana, Kim Ray. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining me, man. Sorry for the delay. Up Here at 73, Dark Truth, Old Hillbilly, Paolo W, Tom Led. Awesome. Let's go ahead and get to it. And tonight, we've got a pretty cool one. There's some weird stuff going on, but it's really nothing new now, is it? We're going to be looking at some of these videos that have been coming out of China, and who brought this to my attention was Adam from Marfoogle News. He was showing them, so I went and looked up the stuff myself and wanted to take a peek. They've got people being filed off of these trains, and it's supposed to be this zero tolerance policy for the virus of the crown. That alone, I guess, wouldn't be like a big deal, if you isolate that and just look at that by itself. But when I look at all the other things that are taking place right now, it's something to pay attention to for sure. And some of those other things are the double asteroid redirection test. We know that 29P has been, doing these weird-ass bursts, giving off all this shit out into space, or so they say. And NASA is steady preparing for this launch, where they're going to try to redirect an asteroid at the end of November. And like I said, isolated, these events don't mean nothing. But when you look at all of this together, the geomagnetic storms that have been taking place and the intensity that our star has been just flaring left and right, man, giving off all kinds of X-rays and proton flux. I mean, it's insane. Not to mention what happened when this all began. Who was kind of leading the way, right? What was taking place? We know that there was videos and all types of shit coming from China when all of this started, right? And whether that was real or fictitious, I think it was propaganda. I think it was intentional, and they put that out there on purpose because we collectively create our reality. So they were trying to get that in our minds. That way we would believe in what was to follow, which was everything that you've experienced over the last 2 years, right? All of the pandemic, all of the variants, all of the waves, which we find ourselves in Delta now, right? And I've pointed this out before, that Delta, given to brain waves, is the deep sleep or REM state. So when you have Delta waves in the brain, it's for deep sleep or the REM state. And that, my friends, I think tells everything. When you have the nation and the world preparing for incredible events, and they're not doing it in secret. They're doing it in everybody's face, but nobody's reacting or really giving a shit about any of it. It's because they're in that deep state of sleep. See, the apocalypse is near. Food production collapse. Soaring wheat prices from the U.S. to Russia are raising bread costs. And this is just the beginning, guys. We've got DHS and shit spraying substances in New York. I've got the weirdest fucking show tonight. Wheat prices are surging from US to Russia, hitting a record in Europe and raising bread costs all over the world, and there may not be much relief soon. The crop, grown on more land than any other, was hit by droughts, frost, and heavy rain this year, and key exporters. The curb supplies used in everything from pizza crust and French baguettes to Asian noodles and African, don't even know what, couscous, pushing benchmark prices in Chicago to an almost 9-year high. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Matter of fact, here, let me take you over here. Well, how about this? Texas is using makeshift border walls with the surprising material. They're actually using shipping containers, so they can't get shipping in to, bring relief to the supply shortages, but they can use them fucking containers to build up a wall with. It's just, oh my God, it's just insane. Let's take a look at these videos. Now, this is weird, man. It really is. But like I said, this is going to be a weird one, so bear with me. I'll start here first, and I've got the actual video downloaded and stuff, so I'll show it from there, from my screen, so it's bigger. It says, is this true? Beijing, China, primary school kids are sent off to quarantine camps without their parents' consent because one of the students tests positive. Say what, right? I think that, let's just take a look for a second. What has happened here just recently? Who are they going after with all of this? Who is in the crosshairs right now? It's the kids, right? And then you have something like this kind of come to the surface. They're literally taking these little dudes out right here. I'll show you the video here. Let me show you from my screen, make sure I got the right one.
我的妈呀！这小孩，我的天哪！
One more time here. Let me switch my screen. I'll show it one more time to you guys.
我的妈呀！
Show that.
我的天哪！
All right. And I'm actually going to skim it by your screen one more time, and I'm going to pause so we can actually look in. Matter of fact, here, let me just bring it up in this over here so you guys can see. Right here. And this is a couple. They not just, taking kids out of schools because somebody got touched up with this shit. They're also doing this on trains and everything. So, I ask you, what the fuck is this about, And here, make the screen bigger. Bam. See? You can see like little kids. And this kind of makes me wonder. I'm not buying this. Okay? I'm not buying this. So when I say this makes me wonder, this makes me think that they're full of shit like usual. And this looks like some type of drill, quite possibly. Look. Just like when you see these flag events take place in the U.S., you notice how there's always like press around, right? Look at the people taking pictures and shit like that. This is China, bro. They don't fuck around. You know what I mean? The PLA does not play around. They literally harvest organs from people that are not part of their party. So you honestly think that they're going to sit there and just let people hang out and snap pictures and leak it out on the internet where they have complete and total control over what goes in and out of their country, right? No, not happening. Just like when all of this began, it was meant to be released. It was meant to be shown. And now so is this. And the onus is on us to figure out why. Why is it meant to be released? Why is it being shown? Look at that. Little kids right there. Look at all those little dudes. Yeah, man. They got little backpacks on and shit, but they got them in like the Tyvek, the hazmat suit. I wonder if they're doing this under the cover of this virus, but it's truthfully like a drill or something, you know. There is so much talk, and I'll show you where their government actually came out and was talking about some pretty nasty things about the United States too. But first, let me show you this other video, right here. Sangzhou City West Railway Station. Everyone on this bullet train will be sent off to quarantine camps because one man on the train contacted with a person A who contacted person B, and he is tested positive in another province today. There are many trains like this. And I'm going to just go ahead and go right to here and show it from here. We're going to mute that. They're obviously speeding it up. I don't know anybody who talks that fucking fast. But watch as this passes. Right here. Right here. See them walking them off, and once again, see them in the Tyvek. They're all kind of staggered out through the people. I'm telling you guys, when they reach Delta, that's the last act right there. They've got you sleeping now. Now they're going to pull the rug out from underneath your ass. And I don't know why anybody would not be showing this or paying attention to this. This is, nothing comes out of China, man, is what I'm trying to say. Nothing comes out of China unless they want it to. And wait till I show you their official statement. That's when you're going to shit a brick, because they don't hide any of it. They're telling their people exactly what's coming, unlike our government. Our government's practicing spraying biological fucking agents in New York, and Bill Gates is talking about, what did he call them? Something games. I'll show you that too, where he's telling everybody prepare for more bullshit. You know, not like with Event 201 and all that. I'm sure there's no connection. No connection to the new mandates that will be effective January 4th from Biden's sack of shit ass. And looks like Justin just sent me something from Chinese authorities. Here, let me pull it up. Justin. Chinese authorities lock citizens inside homes in attempt to stop the spread. Damn, and this is a new one, bro. You remember when you can call in if you want, Justin. They did the same stuff, man, back in the first wave of all of this crap, if you guys would remember, right? That was something that happened in the very beginning of all of this. They were locking people in their fucking homes, right? I was showing the videos of them barricading the doors on the woman. She was beating on it and everything. And I feel like that was very, very staged. Shit. Oops. All right, here. Chinese authorities lock citizens inside homes in an attempt to stop shit. Coronavirus spread. Sorry, I'm typing with one hand here. Right here. I think this is it. Is this a National Review one? No, this is Yahoo. National Review, yeah. Here we go. Let's see what we got right here. Let me give you guys some sound.
Coronavirus officially hitting the U.S.
The death toll climbing once again overnight.
What we know is that it's spreading.
The number of infected exploded over the weekend. Health officials say this strain of the coronavirus has been spread to humans through exposure in handling of animals at the market.
The sickness that started in their city has seeped out. Infection rates rocketing 50%.
Breaking details about the 9th confirmed case in the U.S.
The United States has announced that foreign citizens who've been in China in the past 14 days will be temporarily barred from entering the U.S.
The future of the people of China, and not only of Asia, but of the world, could be at stake here.
Coronaviruses are actually a family of viruses, and several of them cause about 10% of the common colds that we see. What we're seeing in China right now is the emergence of a new strain that we haven't seen in humans before, and so we don't know how transmissible this is yet or how deadly this is going to be. In terms of the people in the United States, right now the overall risk is low. So if you're going to worry about a disease during this season, I would worry more about flu than I would about the new coronavirus at this point.
They've used it in the past for flu patients, but now they're using it to determine if someone might have the coronavirus.
So a lot of people don't wash their hands properly. We do recommend that you wash with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, which is about saying happy birthday twice, to make sure that you're doing effective hand washing and removing the germs that are on your hands to the extent you can. And that's going to be more helpful for the otherwise healthy person for preventing others and themselves from getting sick. But it does make sense if people are sick to wear a mask to try to help decrease that risk to other people. If the population is wearing a lot of masks, I think it does potentially add to that culture of fear around these outbreaks. If people worry, should I be wearing a mask as well? So surgical masks don't form a tight seal on your face. And what that means is that you're still getting air that's going around the sides, and so you could still potentially get exposed to an infection that's going around in these air droplets. The chance that that mask is going to prevent you from getting sick is pretty low. There have been a little bit over 7,000 cases in China. Putting that in context, there are over 1.3 billion people who live in China, so this is still a very small percentage of the population who has infection at this point. It's very hard to identify who's potentially sick because we live in an international world. We live in a world where people travel a lot. So I don't think that this is a reason that we should try to stay away from certain populations in the United States or try to profile people based off of how they look, because we don't know who just got off a plane, and that can be somebody who looks any different way. That the best thing that we can do is try to avoid people who are actively sick. Panic doesn't help anything. What we need to do is be precautious, get information as best we can. Vaccines are trying to be developed very rapidly and move into trials much faster than we've seen with diseases in the past. So I think there's a lot of reasons to be hopeful, and as we get more information, we'll go from there.
Yeah, okay. And you can see here, authorities in the Chinese province of Zhejiang have adopted draconian measures in an attempt to stop the spread, including padlocking families inside their homes, blah, blah, blah. We argued with them, but they said it's a decision from above. We understand we should not go out, but this is not humane. What if there's a fire at our home at midnight and we can't get anyone to unlock it? And that's kind of, you guys remember, man. I mean, that's where all this shit began, and now you have them pulling people off of fucking trains and pulling them out of schools. Wow, you know, my oh my, how far we've come. Check it out. People are starting to wane. China's zero COVID policy takes its toll. Let me make this a little bigger. On Friday, Beijing Daily published an intricate graphic identifying 2 people sick with the COVID and everyone they had infected, detailing the spread of the latest Delta outbreak in the country. The map came amid growing frustration, some panic, and rare protest over the ramifications of China's effort to remain a zero COVID country. Since the first cases were reportedly nearly 2 years ago, China has a zero tolerance COVID policy. Its success in preventing the virus from spreading across the vast country serves as a stark contrast to the situations in many Western countries. Since last year, there are fewer than 100,000 cases that have been officially recorded among a population of 1.4 billion. At least 4,634 have died. By comparison, the U.S. has reported nearly 46 million cases and more than 740,000 deaths. The UK has reported nearly 9 million cases and more than 140,000 deaths. But the policy is intense. For just a handful of cases, measures have included strict border closure, localized lockdowns, travel restrictions, and the mass testing of millions of people. Homebound flights booked by Chinese citizens who live abroad are often canceled at the last minute. And on Thursday, a high-speed train from Shanghai was ordered to halt midway before arriving in Beijing after an attendant was identified as a close contact of a COVID-positive patient. All the other 200... Yeah, of course it's 211. Yeah, it's 211. It's fucking crazy. 20. This is what they do. It's numerology. They put this shit in everything. That's how you know it's all garbage. On board were immediately quarantined in designated places, but as the world begins to slowly open up, having decided to live with the virus mitigated by vaccination, China is one of the few still clinging to the strategy of elimination. Analysts and health experts are starting to ask how long it can last. The latest outbreak, which began earlier this month, is again testing the limits. As of Friday, the latest Delta outbreak had infected more than 300 people across 12 provinces, including the capital, Beijing. In a little more than a week, the outbreak is centered on the province of Inner Mongolia, but was linked to travelers. In response, authorities again launched mass testing, halted transportation, and enacted local lockdowns. And I don't know what that's a picture of. Such scenes have become norm in recent months, and China public health policy expert on the Council of Foreign Relations, and we know how good the CFR is, it'll get more and more difficult over time, but costs are getting higher and returns are diminishing quickly. On Chinese social media, while the majority of commenters support the government's approach, frustration is also being voiced in Beijing, where one resident said fear had returned to their daily life, while another described people panicking as the situation there gets more tense. There is banning of dining and lockdowns everywhere. It's too difficult to even just eat normally, said a resident. There is also frustration in Egina Banner in Inner Mongolia, where trapped tourists have posted on social media in recent days. Does it sound fucking familiar? Like, is this not how it all started all over again? Trapped tourists, locking people in their homes. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? Right? Like, everybody's scared. It's fucking ridiculous, man. This is so ridiculous. And then they show you some drastic fucking measure. That way you think, oh God, we got it good here in the U.S., don't we? They're not jerking our asses off of trains. You know, they're just forcing us on the unemployment line or the bread line by putting a bunch of mandates they said they would never put in place. Lucky us, right? Lucky us, as our bitch-ass country gets on its knees and prepares to take it from the East, period, right? And our Marines just got their asses handed to them by the UK military and literally fucking surrendered in a war game before it was halfway over. Yeah, lucky us. The current crisis is the second major outbreak of the highly transmissible Delta variant this year. Both spread to multiple cities. The first reportedly sparked rare social unrest in Yangzhou this summer over a government failure to deliver food to residents who had been locked down for 3 weeks. Yeah, you think in 3 weeks you'd need to eat. That's about the time it takes for a person to die without food. You can go like 40 days, I think, at the most, without food. So, yeah, craziness. And here we go. This is literally from one of their official press mouthpieces here. What's it called? Liguamen Time Review, something Time Review. I can't read Chinese, sorry. Everyone can feel that a profound change is underway. The Chinese entertainment industry has always had no shortage of stinking fierce materials. Not long ago, the chaos of Wu Yifan and Hao Zun and Zhang Zihan's visit to Yakasumi Shrine to worship ghosts were reported. Recently, Hunan satellite TV host Qian Fang was suspected of rape. She always makes people feel that the Chinese entertainment industry has sucked. If we don't rectify it, not only the entertainment circle will be horrible, but the entire cultural circle, literary circle, showbiz circle, and film and television circle will also be horrified. In the past 2 days, the storm has risen again, and the chaos in the entertainment industry has been hit. The Central Cyberspace Administration of China has made heavy efforts to rectify the rice circle. The State Administration of Taxation has punished Zhang Shuang for tax evasion of 299 million yen. What does the heavy blow mean? And where is it at? This is actually probably not what I'm looking for. They literally talk about the red. Fuck. Right here. Here it is. Here we go. About to say, I didn't want to read all of that. And they're talking, and this is like from their government. From the suspension of its listing, the central government's rectification of economic order and anti-monopoly to the 18.2 billion fine of Ali in the investigation of D-Dai or whatever the hell, the grand commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the founding of the party by the central government. The proposal to take the path of common prosperity in the recent chaos in the entertainment industry, the series of rectification of the actions by the People's Republic of China are telling us that in undergoing major changes from the economic, financial, cultural, and political fields to a profound change or a profound revolution. This is a year from the capital group to the masses of the people, and this is a transformation from capital-centered to people-centered. Therefore, this is a political change. The people are becoming the main body of this change again, and all those who block this people-centered change will be discarded. The profound change is also a return to the original intention of the Chinese Communist Party, a return to the people-centered nature, and a return to the essence of socialism. And wait till you hear some of this. The change will wash away all the dust. The capital market will no longer become a paradise for capitalists to get rich overnight. The cultural market will no longer be a paradise for nymphomaniac stars, and news and public opinion will no longer be a position for worshiping Western culture. The return of red, the return of heroes, and the return of blood. Therefore, we need to control all cultural chaos and build a lively, healthy, masculine, strong, and people-oriented culture. We need to combat the chaos of big capital manipulation, platform monopoly taking all, and bad money driving out good money in the capital market. Guide the flow of funds to entity enterprises, to high-tech enterprises, and to the manufacturing industry. The ongoing chaos of governance and education, starting from the governance training institutions and school district housing, so that education can truly return to civilians and fairness, so that ordinary people have upward mobility, space. In the future, we will need to control high housing prices and high medical expenses and completely level the three mountains of education, medical care, and housing. Although we're not trying to kill the rich and help the poor, we need to effectively solve the problem of increasing income gap between the rich and the poor. Common prosperity is to allow ordinary workers to obtain more income in the distribution of social wealth. This change will bring a series of new weather to our society. The current efforts to rectify the entertainment, art, and film television circles are far from enough. We must use all means to combat the various star-chasing and fan-chasing phenomena that exist in the current society. Completely put an end to the phenomenon of girly guns and small, fresh meat in the social character, and truly let the entertainment, art, and film and television circles be upright and upright. Laborers and ordinary people have become the masters and protagonists of literature and art. And China is currently facing an increasingly severe and complex international environment. The United States is implementing increasingly severe military threats, economic and technological blockades, financial strikes, political and diplomatic siege against China, and is launching biological warfare, cyber warfare, and public opinion against China. Wars and space wars have increasingly launched a color revolution against China through the fifth column without China. If at this time we have to rely on those big capitalists as the main force of anti-imperialist and anti-hegemonism and are still catering to the American nipple strategy so that our young generation loses their strong and masculine vibes, then we don't need enemies to fight. I fell first, just like the Soviet Union back then, letting the country collapse, letting the country's wealth be looted, and letting the people fall into serious disaster. Therefore, the profound changes currently taking place in China are precisely in response to the current grim and complicated international situation, precisely in response to the brutal and ferocious attacks that the United States has begun to launch against China. Every one of us can feel that a profound social change has begun, not only the capital circle, but also not only the entertainment circle. It must not only destroy the dry, but also repair the wounds, clean the house, freshen the air, and make our society healthier. Let social subjects feel physically and mentally happy. And let me drop this link in the chat for you guys so you could go show that to your family or whatever if you want to. And I'm going to point out a couple of things that they said. I think some of you guys already caught it. No to the Nephilim. No to the Nephilim will not save us. Yeah, well, they're talking about bringing back the Nephilim in this here. Right here, when they say this. Look, the return of Red. The return of heroes and the return of blood. Whenever you look into especially scripture or prophetical texts, any mention of the men of renown, the heroes of old, gladiators, I mean, there's a whole plethora of names that they use, but that's talking about Nephilim. That's what those are. The heroes of old are Nephilim, right? And the return of Red. Now, think about this. The Red Dawn, right? This has been telegraphed through the Patrick Swayze movies and all of that shit, which if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I think there's a new version of it with the dude who plays Thor. He's in it. I've seen that one too. But this is just like what, and there's nothing new under the sun. Remember, I told you with the Northern Torrids passing, right? You go back, right? What happened at that time? You had World War I, right? Bolshevik Revolution. You had the Tunguska event. You had all of these things that took place. And then you find yourself 100 years later, right? And now we're in a new situation, but the same, right? It's the same. Nothing new under the sun. Biden comes in and he declares his victory on the 100th anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution. Go fucking look it up if you think I'm lying, right? Number 2, you had Trump, right? Trust the plan. Operation Trust, right? The anti-Bolshevik movement to pull out the political dissenters and lead them to the slaughter. Straight up. Matter of fact, the last time I said that in a video, they gave me a strike. Okay? So I'm just saying, you know. And what do you see now? The United States, this anti-masculine fucking movement that we have going on right now, right? Where they're literally doing this. We just made the option to put like a mark the X to gender fluid shit. I mean, it's just over and over. We're seeing this being just shoved down our throats, right? The transgenders and going and reading to kindergartners. I mean, this is something that's really become prominent, especially over the last 4 or 5 years. To the point so much so that China is saying that, you know, this is intentional, right? You're trying to, make your men more feminine, and this is an attack on the people, right? Because they want to keep the capitalist system in control. And the Chinese, I at least understand that this is shifting to a people-powered movement. And what they're trying to do is to get ahead of it, I guess, and, act as the party that is, for the people, right? The People's Liberation Army. So you can see the return of the red, the return of the heroes, which isn't the gods, the Nephilim, and the return of blood. Well, think about it. In the Bible, it talks about Babylon, right, and how it's going to pay back, right, twice, double for all the blood that it shed of the saints over the history of time. Well, that's a lot of blood, guys. Roman Empire. I mean, you can go all the way back to every empire, Egypt, Babylon itself, all of these old empires, every last one of them, the Nazis, all of that. That's all part of the Babylonian system, United Kingdom. That's why you see Western culture being, destroyed right now. It's the intentional fall of the ideology of democracy and everything else that you probably hold dear as a Westerner is going to go down in the shitter, because this is what is coming next, right? This is going to be a complete socialist system for the one world system, and China is going to be numero uno in all of this, and they don't give a fuck what the U.S. says anymore, because the U.S. is weak, right? They're very weak. And there's probably people at home right now that's saying, yeah, right, wait, nobody can beat us. Well, no. The Bible talks about you would have that attitude before you got your ass handed to you, and that's what's about to happen. And notice how they mention disaster coming upon them. I told you. I believe that they're going to jump on us as soon as disaster strikes. And if you don't think that they're telegraphing this type of disaster, well, take a look at some of this shit here. I'm going to show you some things. Where's it at? Right here. And this is from Jeff P., his YouTube channel. Jeff P., I don't know, most of you probably know who he is. I love Jeff P. But the secret files to New York tsunami, predictive programming, La Palma Island, and Canary Islands. Remember, Carlos Ferrada, when he was talking about Hercolobos, he triangulated 3 places in the world where there would be seismic and volcanic activity, and it was Alaska, La Palma, and I can't remember the third place, but they're all happening now. He said that's how we would know that it was about to hit, right? And that would also be, the red approaching as well, right? The red dragon, it would be approaching. You see what I mean? Like, this is very symbolic, the shit they're saying, and they understand what's taking place on an esoteric level, and they give the exoteric to the masses, to the people, and they say, oh, okay, this is what's going on. And you think, because you only see on the surface, you see, capitalism, blah, 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 right? These kind of things. But they understand the deeper mysteries, and they're like, no. This is a cosmic event, right? And this is a shift in consciousness to the people. And that's what they want to do, is manipulate and control that. Take a look.
This is La Palma, one of the Canary Islands, a paradise for sun-loving tourists. For us, the island holds quite another fascination, the Cumbre Vieja volcano. The brittle western slope of the volcano is covered in clefts and fissures where water has collected. And now for the interesting part. By placing several bombs in carefully calculated spots, we can use thermonuclear explosions to heat that water so that it will evaporate instantaneously. If you had paid attention in your physics classes, you would know that such a sudden evaporation of water would create sufficient pressure to shatter the volcano's brittle slope and send it crashing into the sea. Can you guess what comes next? That's right, a tsunami. Waves 200 meters high will charge across the Atlantic with the speed of an airplane. the tsunami will sweep across the east coast of the United States. New York will disappear in an apocalyptic flood, taking with it the self-proclaimed rulers of the world who are currently squabbling in blind incompetence at the UN headquarters. The resulting vacuum of power will be filled by our followers, some of whom have been biding their time in key positions for decades. They will take control and lead humankind to a new golden age.
Damn, son. That's intense, right? That's intense, but, you know, just saying, pretty intense right there. I don't know. And it goes on. There's more than that, right? And now they're putting out this as well, right? Trying to show you that, and I believe, even if it's not what they say and La Palma's fucking detonated and all that, we know they've telegraphed this before, though, with the Russian submarines, right? And that they're anti-ship or whatever missiles, their ICBMs, and how they could come off the coast of the U.S. and generate tsunamis. I mean, they've done with this. Or on the back on the $50 and $10 bill, I think it is, where they show New York in the sudden impact scene where it's being hit by the fucking nuclear cloud, then the giant tidal wave. You know, these things have been telegraphed for a long time, and we know that the capital of the Babylonian system, which would be the United Nations, because the UN is the first horse when we look at the four horsemen of the apocalypse, the one that rider with the bow, right, the taxon, and he's wearing a Stephanos, which means to wreath or twine. That is the little leaves or whatever going around the UN. I'll show you. There's the Stephanos right there. See? To wreath or twine. There it is. And they've got the world and the crosshairs in 33 sections. And you're going to see one of the themes that I've seen, at least, in tonight's video. You're going to see there's a theme of 33 and a lot of this stuff that's taking place in the variants and all of this. You can, when you do, the numerology, even if you use like Pythagorean or Chaldean numerology, you'll always bring it back to 33 in a lot of their news stories. So something is up. You know, if they're shifting to the 33, that lets you know something. It's like a capstone moment. That's what they have. Like, and I believe that 201 and all of that, when we look at what took place then at the end of 2019, that was a capstone moment. You know what I mean? Like, it's a milestone for them to get to another level that they're trying to take the masses to. And now we're on the verge of a big capstone moment. I truly believe that. And, sinking the capital of the United Nations would do the trick, dude. You know? Absolutely so. Now, moving forward. Top Pentagon General. We're witnessing one of the largest shifts in geopolitical power that the world has seen. Now think about what, the PLA's mouthpiece just said, right? We're the shift in power, right? We have, this traitor fuck talking the same thing, right? And he's the one who also said he would tell China if we were going to strike them, right? Miley, he's a piece of shit. The world is changing faster than our sluggish political leaders, let alone the public, can manage. The virus and climate change move far more quickly than the international community, and we saw that last week at the G20. And remember, Obama spoke at the G22, and something about, I don't want to say in case I get it wrong, but if it comes in my brain, I'll mention it. But it's the number 120 and what it means and all of that. Rome in the COP 26 and 26, 2 6s, 66. You're going to see 66 over and over and over again too. Or 2 and 6 is 8. You're going to see 8 over and over and over again also. In Glasgow, Scotland, back home, rapid social shifts push many Americans to embrace fraudsters who promise to save them. Do we do that? The urgent need to upgrade our fraying democracy is blocked by GOP naysayers and Democratic Party infighting. Above it all, science is advancing at warp speed, while we humans progress at sludge speed. Too obvious to recognize that this changes from which we now recoil will be dwarfed by those in the next 5 or 10 years. That reality was highlighted by the Joint Chief of Staff Chairman General Mark Milley as the Aspen Security Forum on Wednesday in Washington. And there's plenty more where that came from. U.S. Navy ship tracked by Russia on entry to the Black Sea. And see, if you kind of think about it, guys, remember there was like 300,000 Russian troops on the Crimean border in Ukraine. They just had another drill there this last week. Also, practicing defending against the United States. And here we go. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, okay, that's enough of that. I thought we were going to get some action out of that, sorry. U.S. Naval Command ship entered the Black Sea on Thursday as part of the NATO maneuvers that drew a warm welcome from Ukraine, but close scrutiny from the Russian Navy. The U.S. Navy said that Mount Whitney was in the region to conduct routine maritime options with NATO allies and partners. Remember, I read you that yesterday. That was talking about this fucking world alliance with democratic nations, right? This is a world war. They're setting the stage, guys. The Black Sea, in particular in the area of the Crimean Peninsula, which Russia annexed in Ukraine in 2014, is a sensitive security zone for Moscow. Quote, the forces and means of the Black Sea Fleet have started monitoring the actions of Mount Whitney command ship, TASS news agency quoted the Russian Defense Ministry as saying. And President Vladimir Putin said on Monday that Russian forces would be able to observe the Mount Whitney through binoculars or in the crosshairs of their defense systems. Russia, which severed ties with NATO last month, complains frequently about alliance activity close to its borders or in what regards as its post-Soviet sphere of influence. Yeah. And we'll go past that for a minute. U.S. military test astonishing array of new technology at Yuma Proving Ground. See, they're testing their new shit, guys. For the first time ever, every branch of the United States Armed Forces are testing their sensor-to-sensor capabilities in tandem during an Army-led Project Convergence campaign at Yuma Proving Ground. According to the recent Army news release, Project Convergence has returned to U.S. Army Yuma Proving Ground to test a vast and astonishing array of new technology. In addition to representation from all branches of the military, this year's iteration features all eight of the Army Future Command's cross-functional teams. There is also a dramatically large soldier presence. Among these CFTs is Future Vertical Lift, which aggressively testing virtually every facet of the Army's future attack reconnaissance aircraft, and FBI, as well as advancing knowledge on electronic warfare, unmanned aircraft, air-to-ground missiles, rotary cannons, and all manner of ancillary technologies to expand communications capabilities and soldier survivability are all being tested simultaneously here. Quote, there is a lot learning going on out here these several weeks, and Yuma Proving Ground is really a unique place to enable us to do this. Yeah. Great news, right? Drone at Pennsylvania Electric Substation was first to specifically target energy infrastructure, according to the Federal Law Enforcement Bulletin. It gets better. And a drone that crashed near the Pennsylvania Power Station substation last year was likely meant to damage or disrupt the electric equipment, according to a federal law enforcement bulletin obtained by CNN. The July 2020 incident is the first known case of a modified unmanned aircraft system likely being used likely being used in the United States to specifically target energy infrastructure. And this was a memo from the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and National Counterterrorism Center. The statement is from the review of the dating back to 2017. So they're telling you, and I told you guys we would start to hear more about the infrastructure and cyber attacks and all of that. You can go fucking watch the videos. You'll see I'm not bullshitting you. I've been saying this for quite a while now. And right here, let me move next into this here. I've got a couple of things I want to show. There's so much stuff going on right now. Yellowstone volcano rumbles with 267 earthquakes as fears of overdue eruption grow. And watch, I'll tell you, see the numbers, right? 6, 7, 13, it's 3, 2 3s, 6, right? Or 33. Told you. Yellowstone volcano was rocked by more than 260 earthquakes last month, and unfounded fears of superstition. Unfounded fears of superstition. It's superstition to say a fucking volcano will erupt. Ooh, yeah. That sounds so stupid. The U.S. supervolcano is overdue for another cataclysmic eruption. And let's see what we have here.
For a future eruption of Yellowstone, and I guess the one that people get excited about and keen on is the chance of a sort of colossal eruption, what we might call a super eruption. These are very, very rare events. The probability of that is exceedingly low, probably less than 1 in a million per year. But more likely are smaller events, and there's a whole range of things that volcanoes can do. One of the more likely scenarios at Yellowstone are small steam explosions. I mean, we all know about the famous geysers there, and occasionally when that water flashes to steam more violently, it can blast out rock and make a crater several tens or 100 meters across.
The geysers there.
So, I mean, those are much more likely events than at the extreme end of the scale, which is sort of almost beyond the concern of hazards evaluation, unless there are some indications that the volcano is gearing up to a very, very large event in the future. Well, we have lots of ways of monitoring volcanoes. Some of the principal methods are using seismometry.
Tim Hamby says, now that is scary. Yellowstone. Yeah, bro. And it's pretty crazy that they would even fucking say something as stupid as it's superstition to act like the volcano could erupt. How fucking retarded is that? Seriously. And people buy into it. Oh, that's superstition. Volcanoes don't erupt. Home to the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera, Yellowstone National Park in the northwest U.S. is one of the country's most seismically active regions. Geologists estimate up to 3,000 earthquakes strike the park each year due to the movement of fault lines and scorching hot water deep underground. It's no surprise when the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory branch of the U.S. Geological Survey recorded more than 260 tremors in the park and surrounding areas last month alone. It is a surprise. It is a surprise. See, in one side of their neck, they say it's no surprise that there's all these earthquakes happening, right? The other side of their fucking neck, they say it's a superstition to say that it would actually erupt. Which one is it, dude? Right? I can remember last year I was telling you about 100 of them happening, 150, and now there's 260, right? It keeps going up. Yeah, it's just so crazy. They act like you don't remember yesterday or you don't remember a month ago. You probably don't, just to keep it real. But I hope you do. I hope you do, because I do. How about this? A major coastal flood event similar to a surge from a hurricane is underway in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, the telegraphing of the tsunami shit. I know this channel. I've seen it a couple of times, but it's buried in my algorithms now, so I never get to see it. Best Damn Podcast or something like that. That was saying that the tsunami or tidal wave would hit the East Coast. Wow. How weird, right? How weird. That guy might be right.
Hurricanes or lightning. A flash flood creates a rush of moving water that can sweep a grown man off his feet, a car off the road, and even your entire home off its foundation. When the ground becomes so saturated that water can no longer seep into the soil, it begins to run off quickly into rivers and streams, and this causes a rise in water in a flash. Densely populated areas have an extremely high risk of flash flooding, with the additional concrete and less grassy areas for the water to soak into the soil, and they can see flash flooding very quickly. In mountainous terrain, the combination of gravity plus the easy runoff can lead to catastrophic flooding when all of that water is funneled into rivers, creeks, and even the valleys. Remember, flash flooding can happen in the blink of an eye. That's why it's important to stay alert and pay attention in case a flash flood watch or warning is issued for your area.
Okay. Wow. How about that? Right?
She's
Yeah, no, she's not. All right. Potentially historic flood event is taking shape across China and portions of coastal Georgia, including near Savannah, as water levels will be at heights usually found in powerful hurricanes. The flooding will be exacerbated by a destructive combination of already higher than normal tides and a developing storm system sending tide levels, what the hell, this must be a typo, above 8 feet for Charleston and above 10.5 feet near Savannah, signaling major flood stage along the coast. It looks like an almost perfect combination of astronomical influences and meteorological conditions. That is weird. And meteorologists with the National Weather Service in Charleston said, astronomical influences? The situation is similar to the storm which led to the coastal flooding in the Chesapeake Bay this past weekend, and an area of high pressure situated over the Northeast, and a strengthening storm of the northern Gulf of Mexico will work in unison to bring a prolonged period of northeast winds to the Charleston area. Now, given the shape and orientation of the Carolina and Georgia coast, these northeast winds tend to push water toward coastal communities, bringing the most significant concerns for coastal flooding apart from those caused by tropical systems. And remember, March of this year, right? It was the Lantex, Pacifics, and Caribex 2021, right? Where they were getting ready for tsunamis and tidal waves and all of that, right? They were drilling for that just this year in March. Massive waves hitting. And I told you, I believe that the southern border wall is designed for tidal waves and tsunamis. That's why it has, the big giant metal poles and the slides in between it. Let me show you an image. And let's not forget, there are Illuminati cards specifically for this as well. See? That's designed, in my opinion. See that? That's designed, in my opinion, to allow water through. Right? It's to allow water through. That's why they have these giant large holes, and it's so tall. Right? And it's like reinforced on the top there. I mean, you won't be able to get out of it, but yeah. Anyways, there's that. It gets better though. as if it wasn't good enough already, right? Here we go. Get ready for food rationing. It was a very strange moment when this week the spokesperson for the president defended inflation as a high-class problem. She explained that higher prices are merely a sign that economic activity is picking up. People are buying things, and that's good. Of course that pushes up prices, she said. Just deal with it. Just deal with it, you fucking peasant. What's wrong with you? Just deal with it. And this is great stuff. At this point, the White House will say anything. Truth, facts, morality, these things matter less and less in current day America. Your misery is an illusion. Losing your job because you don't want the jab? Hey, that is the price you pay for non-compliance. Expect no sympathy from anyone in charge. Jesus, dude. Yeah, here we go. And Wall Street bounces after sell-offs and Feds boost liquidity. The Great Rationing. It must have been this flippant dismissal that caused me to go over the top. I wrote this hyperinflation could lead not only to implicit price controls, and hold the fuck up, hold the phones. Wasn't there a channel also? I'm trying to think, was it that same channel that I was talking about earlier? It was, that told you that we were going into hyperinflation, that told you that the laws and obligations were part of the third horse that was riding out. Huh. Too bad they hide that guy. I bet a lot of people would do good knowing those things. And it says that we'll allow a certain amount of food for this week. 1 chicken, 1 pound of hamburger, heat 5 rolls of toilet paper. I wrote that with a worry that I might be going too far here with speculation. This is America, after all, and we don't do things this way. And yet in the old America, we didn't close churches for Easter or skip Christmas for fear of a virus, and so on. Yet we know that in fact we do these things, and easily. Fear makes anything possible. And so right on cue, things are moving very fast these days. The Washington Post has published an article by one of its regular contributors. Get used to it. She says that we have come to expect too much for the economy ever since 1911. She says we've been in 1911. Yeah. In case you're living under a rock, 9/11, 99, completion. Right? She's using this on purpose because she's a fucking piece of shit too. And we've been obsessed with getting stuff and getting it fast. That's dumb, she says. Deprivation is not only the new normal, it's the way things should be. Quote, across the country, Americans' expectations of speedy service and easy access to consumer products have been crushed like a styrofoam container in a trash compactor, she writes. Time for some new, more realistic expectations. For example, she writes, in the candy shortage, the milk shortage, the everything shortage. Then she concludes, rather than living constantly on the verge of throwing a fit and risking taking it out on overwhelmed servers, struggling shop owners, or late arriving delivery people, we do ourselves a favor by consciously lowering expectations. Like, get used to it. You're a fucking loser, dude. Just expect it. Expect it, man. Expect to lose. How bad can it get? She saves the best for the very end. American consumers might have been spoiled, but generations of them have also dealt with shortages of some kind. Gasoline in the 70s, food rationing in the 40s, housing in the 20s, when cities such as Detroit were booming. Now it's our turn to make adjustments. You might read that again. She is defending gas lines. More astonishingly, she is going out about the glorious suffering of wartime when food was rationed with rationing tickets. You cannot make this stuff up. What's worse, the Washington Post published its reveals of something about what they imagine could be our future. And by future, I don't mean distant future. I mean next year. No one is safe. You will notice the growing tribalization of everything and everyone in the last 20 months. People are retreating to what is safe and known, their own kind, their neighborhood, their closest friends, their families. Even those are strained, but that is all we have. The old world of integration and heterogeneity is shattered. Commercial culture is dead, and larger parts of the country and fear and depression are taking over as the dominant emotions. I wrote that, and my friend is in Texas and Florida and South Dakota say, I have no idea what you are talking about. Life around here is normal. Concerts are packed. Restaurants are busy. No one is wearing masks. We are so over this. I'm happy for them, truly, but there's a problem. Many problems. We all share the same monetary unit. Supply chains are connected all over the country and the world. Every state relies on goods from another state. We are long past autarky. I can't even say what the fuck that is. I can't see it. We can feel like we are safe, but we are not. Hyperinflation will affect everyone without exception. If North Carolina can't get milk and chicken, neither can Florida and New Mexico. The deprivation will be shared. A good example is the car shortage. Texas was not spared because the state has a relatively halfway decent governor who finally got wise. Too late, but he finally got there. Still, the car lots are empty. It's the same with many things. We all use the same dollar. Its destruction will hit South Dakota the same as it hits California. There will be no safe space. And this is actually a really good article. And I'm going to drop this down in the chat for y'all as well. Anybody wants to check it out? They're doing it on purpose. Well, fuck yeah, they're doing it on purpose. Who says I think they're using lasers? Where the fuck did this come from? You guys are weirdos. Every time I go to the chat, you guys are talking about some whole off-the-wall shit, man. I think they're using lasers. Okay. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what you're talking about, but they probably are. Okay. Anyways, moving on here. And DHS and friends dispersing harmless substances in New York. And this is where it gets good, guys. This is where it gets good. And Mr. Gates is going to be up next. Bill Gates warns of smallpox terror attacks and urges leaders to use germ games to prepare. I hate this piece of shit, just to keep it real. I know I'm not supposed to hate people, but I can't help it. You know, I can't help it. Something in me just wants to kick the ass of Bill Gates so hard. I'm sorry. God forgive me. Bill Gates warns of a smallpox terror attack and urges leaders to use germ games to prepare. Watch. Bill Gates warns of the bioterrorist smallpox pandemic. Well, we shall we? Let's get past this ad here. Bill Gates has warned that governments must prepare for future pandemics. If you're a Bill Gates fan, you might not want to watch this channel. It's not for you. Not for you.
And so I'm hoping in 5 years I can write a book called, We Are Ready for the Next Pandemic. But it'll take tens of billions in R&D that the US and the UK will be part of that. It'll take probably about $1 billion a year for a pandemic task force at the WHO level, which is doing the surveillance and actually doing what I call germ games, where you practice. You say, okay, what if a bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports?
Look at his fucking greasy little smile as he says that. What if a bioterrorist? Oh, you creep. I can't stand this piece of shit.
Practice. You say, okay, what if a bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports?
He lights up when he says
how would the world respond to that? That there's naturally caused epidemics and bioterrorism caused epidemics that could even be way worse than what we experience today. And yet the advances in medical science should give us tools that, we could do dramatically better. So you'd think this would be a priority. The next year will be where those allocations have to get made, including this global pandemic task force.
Can't stand his ass, man. Did I say that already? Bill Gates has warned the governments must prepare for future pandemics and smallpox terror attacks by investing billions in research and development. He's like, give me your money, or I'll fucking drop a bio weapon on you. Mr. Gates made the warning during a policy exchange. Oh, hold on, guys. They're showing a fake picture of the Earth. Okay. He made the warning during a policy exchange interview with the chair of the health committee, Jeremy Hunt. The Microsoft founder also called the formation of new billion-dollar World Health Organization Pandemic Task Force. While the research may be expensive, he said that it could also lead to other innovations, such as eradicating flu and the common cold. Well, newsflash, Bill, we've already eradicated the flu when you started faking this other shit. Remember? It don't even exist anymore. So you're a little behind the 8 ball on that one. He said that country and the common cold, well, anybody who's went along with this agenda, they'll be killed by that, right? Because they don't have an immune system anymore. It says that I'm hoping in 5 years I can write a book called We Are Ready for the Next Pandemic. We are ready. Bring it on. But it'll take tens of billions in research and development. I wish I could pull this shit off, guys. I really do. If I just said, I'm getting ready to write a book, but I'm going to need tens of billions of dollars for this thing. You got me? And the US and UK will be part of that, he said. I'll take probably about $1 billion a year for a I'll take probably about $1 billion a year for a pandemic task force at the WHO level, which is doing the surveillance and actually doing what I call germ games, where you practice. Mr. Gates suggested that the germ games could include preparing for acts of bioterrorism, such as smallpox attacks on airports. You say, okay, what if a bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports? You know, how would the world respond to that? There's a naturally caused epidemics and bioterrorism caused epidemics that could even be way worse than what we experience today. And DHS and friends dispersing harmless substances in New York. Yeah, good news, right? You might have seen it in the news this month. The DHS and MTA and a bunch of other important organizations are doing one of those entirely trustworthy biosecurity experiments in New York and spraying entirely harmless stuff on the subway and in select populous locations. Yeah. And let's see what the Time Out New York has to say. The airflow and dispersion study will simulate the aerosol release of a biological agent in a densely populated urban environment according to 311-311-33. Researchers will take air samples and materials that settle on the ground and other surfaces afterward. According to the DHS, it'll take place at the Times Square World Trade Center complex, Union Square Park, and the Union Square subway stations, as well as the Oculus Transit Hub. As mentioned earlier, the particle gas tracers are non-toxic and pose no health risks. According to the Daily News, the DHS says the non-toxic substances include salt, glycerol, maltodextrin or sweetener, a fluorescent brightener, non-coding DNA oligos, and amorphous silica, among others. What the fuck? That is so weird. The gas tracers include sulfur hexafluoride as well as perfluorocarbon tracer. Sulfur hexafluoride is a safe gas commonly used in leak testing and is already present in urban backgrounds due to its use in the electric power industry. Perfluorocarbon tracer gases are safe, inert, odorless, and colorless gases that have been used in many similar airflow studies in the past. I would add to the list of locations per DHS Times Square and Grand Terminal subway stations. It's not the first time it's being done in New York. For example, in 1966, the military dispersed N9, dispersed the pathogen on the subway without informing the citizens. To quote a 2015 Business Insider article, on 6/6/1966, a group of U.S. Army scientists made their way into the 7th and 8th Avenue lines of the New York City subway. Some carried air sampling machines in boxes and on belts, and others carried light bulbs. The light bulbs were packed with about 175 grams of Bacillus subtilis bacteria, then known as Bacillus globuli, approximately 87 trillion organisms in each. The plan was to shatter them and then use the sampling machines to see how they spread through the subway tunnels and trains. What? This test was one of at least 239 experiments. And once again, 2 3s, right? 9 experiments conducted by the military in a 20-year germ warfare testing program that went on from 1949 to 1969. These experiments that used bacteria to simulate biological weapons were conducted on civilians without their knowledge or consent, and that stands in direct violation of the Nuremberg Code, which stipulates that voluntary informed consent is required for research participants. Yeah, we know that nobody would violate the Nuremberg Code, would they? And while the people who conducted these experiments did so under the belief that the bacteria species they used were harmless, it has since been revealed that they can cause health problems. They are all considered pathogens now. Said the director of terror medicine and security program at Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School, who documented these experiments in his book, Clouds of Secrecy. Wow. Then in 2013, Jesus, they're going to go through all these. NYPD did an experiment. Low concentrations of the tracer gas perfluorocarbon was released for a 30-minute period, and then tracked and made its way through 5 boroughs. Then in 2016, DHS and MTA released harmless gases on the subway without much advertisement. I feel so safe as I am typing this. So safe. I hope you do too. Wow. This is crazy. And they just go on and on about these. I'm going to drop this in there too for you guys. Hello again, John Keane. What's happening? Not too much, man. Just doing a video here. You know, no life. Just spend it on YouTube. That's what I do. Where am I at with all of this? Oh yeah. Okay. We got some more stuff for you. Let me close some of this out. I'll save this for last. The Project Horizon shit. The vast patches of glassy rock in Chilean desert, likely created by an ancient exploding comet. Yeah, we're feeling safer by the minute. Around 12,000 years ago, remember those cycles that one show, Best Damn Podcast, talks about? The 6,500, 12,500, 20,000. Yeah, those. 12,000 years ago, something scorched a vast swath of the Atacama Desert in Chile with heat so intense that it turned the sandy soil into widespread slabs of silicate glass. Now, a research team studying the distribution and composition of those glasses has come to a conclusion about what caused the inferno. In a study published by the journal Geology, researchers show that the sample of the desert glass contains tiny fragments with minerals often found in rocks of extraterrestrial origins. These minerals closely match the composition of material returned to Earth by NASA's Stardust mission, which sampled the particles from a comet called Wild 2. The team concludes that those mineral assemblages are likely the remains of an extraterrestrial object, most likely a comet that streamed down after the explosion that melted the sandy surface below. Yeah. And I've actually got the scientific journal there too, somewhere in here. Oh, good thing no comments are on the way, right? Mysterious volcanic comet 29P erupts again, spewing cryomagma into space. And Comet 29P, one of the strangest objects in our solar system, recently behaving even more weirdly. The British Astronomical Association is reporting another strong outburst of Comet 29P. Swasman-Wachman, the volcanic comet, suddenly brightened tenfold on October 23rd. And when a sunlit vent opened, spewing cryomagma into space. And this thing's getting fucking bright, which means it's getting closer, I would say. Comet 29P is one of the weirdest objects in the system. In fact, it strains the definition of comet. 29P is a ball of ice 60 kilometers wide, much larger than a typical comet, trapped in a planet-like orbit between Jupiter and Saturn. It appears to be festooned with ice volcanoes which erupt 20 times a year. You know what it sounds like to me? Remember how Carlos Ferrara, he calls it a comet planet, right? Because it's got the elliptical orbit like a comet, but it's the size of a fucking planet, and it's a volcanic planet. Anybody putting two and two together? I'm just saying. And if we, I want to see the trajectory of Comet 29P. Here we go. Let's take a look at it. Let's see where it's going to be.
Okay, I think we'll get started. So welcome everybody to this Wednesday webinar, BAA webinar.
Okay, maybe not.
Yeah,
how they have the fucking trajectory there. We'll look at it over here. Ourselves in. We don't need those people. Comet 29P. And here we go. Let's get the trajectory here. Orbital diagram. Right here. The quasi-circular orbit of 29P compared to Jupiter and Saturn. Okay, is this not a moving video here? Huh. So they're saying it's right out here. Coming from under the ecliptic. Somehow I'm just not satisfied with that. I'm sorry, guys. See the images? Ooh, that's a good one, ain't it? I wonder if any of these... You ever, like, just sit back and wonder if any of these fucking images and shit like that are even real? You know? Like, is this even real? Are we even alive here? What is going on? You know? They're talking codes.
Now, before it's too late. But it seems pretty clear it's not going to... Let's act now before it's too late. But it seems pretty clear it's not going to last much longer.
A government directive urging people to stock up on food ahead of winter.
This is a very dangerous time.
It's 1 minute to midnight on that doomsday clock, and we need to act now. The lights are flashing red.
Now is the day. Now is the hour.
You need to go and get your vaccine. As I said, this virus will hunt you out.
And we have reached a point where the West is basically fighting itself and will fall in on itself if we continue down that road.
But it seems pretty clear it's not going to last much longer. This is a very dangerous time.
Damn, son. Yeah, and that's what they do, right? They talk in code. They talk in code. People are just stupid, you know? That's the problem. They don't pay attention to those codes. And let's take a look here. I already showed you this, I think. Yeah, the apocalypse is near, the food production collapse. It gets better. It gets better. Mysterious booms and rumblings spook residents of Lake County, Illinois. Dozens of residents in North Lake County, Illinois reported hearing a loud boom-like explosion and rumbling like an earthquake Friday afternoon, but so far authorities have been unable to determine what caused it. There's no question many northern Lake County residents either heard or felt something Friday afternoon, but what it was remains a story. About 3:33 p.m., emergency dispatch centers began getting reports of what sounded like a large explosion. Some social media posters said their homes shook. The situation passed in an instant, but generated a lot of curiosity among residents in several communities. Had a home or business exploded? Was it an earthquake? A sonic boom? No one is certain. Yeah, probably something coming through the atmosphere for show or preparation. China urges families to stockpile basic supplies in case of emergency. Panic buying in the supermarkets. And remember, this is your fault, right? Just deal with it. China's government has urged families to stock up on essential supplies in case of emergencies. No reason was given for the notice from the Ministry of Commerce, but it came amid ongoing coronavirus lockdowns and concerns over vegetable supplies after unusually heavy rain damaged crops. The Commerce Ministry directive late on Monday stirred some concern. Excuse me. I don't know why I get the yawns every time I do a video. On domestic, I'm that boring, that's what it is. On domestic social media, that it may have been triggered by heightened tensions with Taiwan. Now, while some said people were rushing to stock up on rice and cooking oil and salt. And remember, what was we showing yesterday? That was showing like the major places for seismic activity and that Taiwan is like one of the 3 in the world, right? The ministry also asked local authorities to keep supply chains running smoothly and prices stable. State media later sought to quell concerns amid reports of panic buying.
Is a food shortage imminent in China? Concern for the topic is trending on Chinese social media. That's after China's Ministry of Commerce issued a notice telling families to stock up on food. NTD's Don Ma has more.
A large number of Chinese citizens are now worried about food shortages in China. That's because on Monday, China's Ministry of Commerce issued a notice to families and local Communist Party branches to stock up on food for the winter. It's recommending people to stockpile daily necessities like vegetables, cooking oil, rice, salt, and poultry in case of emergencies. The notice sent shockwaves through the country and stirred up a social media storm. On Chinese social platform Weibo, the hashtag "The Ministry of Commerce encourages households to store necessary life essentials" has been viewed over 54 million times. Panic buying began soon after the notice came out. On Weibo, one netizen wrote, "At RT Mart, salt and canned goods have all been snatched up." Another said, "Today I went to the supermarket to buy rice, flour, and oil, spending nearly 1,000 yuan. 2 large shopping carts filled my entire trunk." Still, another person noted they were buying oil, paper, and daily necessities and spent 1,700 yuan very easily. The Commerce Ministry's notice didn't give a specific reason as to why it's recommending families to stock up. The lacking detail is leading many to speculate. Natural disasters earlier this year destroyed crops in Shandong, the country's biggest vegetable growing region, and outbreaks of the pandemic stretching from the northwest to the northeast of the country threatened to disrupt food supplies. But a Communist Party-backed newspaper, the Economic Daily, told netizens not to have too much of an overactive imagination. It said the purpose of the notice was to make sure citizens weren't caught off guard if lockdown orders are put into place in their area. Don Ma, NTD News.
Love the music at the end. As soon as this news came out, all the old people near me went crazy. Panic buying at the supermarket, one user wrote on the Chinese social media site Weibo. Here's an example of the empty shelves in China. It's like all the old people went crazy. Let's see if we can get this to pop. All the old people went crazy. The Economic Daily, Chinese Communist Party-backed newspaper, urged its readers not to be alarmed, saying the government's advice was aimed at making sure that households were prepared if a lockdown was announced in their area. Myanmar People's Daily newspaper said such notices were not unusual, but this had come at a time of the issues, including a rise in vegetable prices and recent COVID cases. Local media has also recently published lists of recommended goods to store at home, including biscuits and instant noodles, vitamins, radios, and flashlights. Food prices traditionally rise in China as winter nears, but the price of vegetables has surged in recent weeks because of this extreme weather. And the government typically makes extra efforts to boost fresh vegetable and pork supplies before China's most important holiday, Lunar New Year, which in 2022 falls in early February. Remember, guys, I told you the original fucking Passover is February 13th, right? It's the second month of the year on the 13th day. Just saying. But this year, those efforts have become more urgent after extreme weather early in October destroyed crops in Shandong, the country's biggest vegetable growing region, as outbreaks of COVID cases stretched from the northwest to the northeast. The country threatened to disrupt food supplies last week. Prices of cucumbers, spinach, broccoli had more than doubled from early October. Spinach was more expensive than some cuts of pork. And vegetable prices index in Shenzhen, a trading bulb in Shandong, indicated. Although prices have been eased in recent days, economists expect a significant year-on-year increase in consumer prices inflation for October, the first in 5 months.
Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. Good morning.
Economic Ninja.
I don't know what time this video is going to get out to you. I guess it figures how long it's going to upload. This is about China sparks panic buying after telling households to stockpile food ahead of the winter. Guys, I'm going to link the article below, but I think it's very important and very timely. And this is why. First off, it's pretty nice that they're telling them this, right? How's your country doing? Is your country telling you, hey, we got a crisis, go ahead and start stockpiling food right now for the winter? You've been told there's a cold winter coming. Well, that's real great. They don't tell you what to do, right? Here, the Economic Ninja in August says, if you guys want a Christmas, go out and start buying up Christmas presents now, because there probably won't be a whole lot to choose from in December. And it was nice that the Vice President, she must have seen it, and said the exact same thing 2 weeks later. But my point being is that I've been talking about this food thing for a while. Now, here's the deal with China, because a lot of people say, well, the heck with China. They don't like their citizens. But you have to remember their motivation. You see, if they understand how big of a deal this is, and you know what, let me read this first little part. Central planners are at it again. In September, China ordered the country's top state-owned energy companies to secure supplies for this winter at all costs. They were referring to the supplies to produce energy. So you saw an immediate spike in the price of oil. You saw another spike in coal and other acquisition costs related to making energy, right? Well, now they're talking about food, because they're saying now they're telling households to stockpile food ahead of winter, sparking wild conspiracies among netizens. Citizens. That's all right, cool. I'm not the only one that misspells words. No worries. I don't have a problem with that. About heightening tensions with Taiwan. Listen.
Okay, enough of you, bro. But thank you. Yeah, so, there you have it, man. You even heard it from the Economic Ninja, If the Economic Ninja is telling you some shit, you better listen, right? They're trying to exterminate us, reducing our fertility, radioactive material, and pesticides among new contaminants found in U.S. tap water. Great. As if the fluoride wasn't enough. Water utilities and regulators in the U.S. have identified 56, and that's 11, right? And the new contaminants in the drinking water over the past 2 years. A list that includes dangerous substances linked to a range of health problems such as cancer, reproductive disruption, liver disease, and much more. The revelation is part of an analysis of the nation's water utilities contamination records by the Environmental Working Group, a clean water advocate that has now updated its database for the first time since 2019. It's found that the jump is partly driven by the newly identified PFAS, a toxic class of forever chemicals. They're forever chemicals that are widely used across dozens of industries and are thought to be contaminating drinking water for more than 100 million people. Pesticides, water disinfectant byproducts, and radioactive materials are among the other substances identified by regulators. Though the new contaminant list is disturbing, it would be much longer if regulators and utilities were properly monitoring the nation's water supply. Quote, it speaks to the fact that we don't have nearly strong enough regulations in place to protect drinking water, and the regulation process is much too slow. We're testing for things that are already in our drinking water after the fact, and we're not keeping pace with these chemicals. The list includes some substances that have even been in production and used for years, but are only now being monitored by regulators as their links to health problems become clear. Other contaminants include those that industry is only beginning to use in larger quantities. Forever chemicals. Yeah,
Clean
forever.
and safe drinking water is a basic necessity that we can easily take for granted in this country. But now a group of unregulated, potentially toxic chemicals, part of American life for decades, they are being increasingly detected in the water of thousands of American communities. Tonight, what our investigation uncovered and what you can do to keep your family safe. Here's Devin Dwyer.
In the parched desert community of Tucson, Arizona, a precious natural resource is under threat.
This is what we call the inflow into the plant.
Water from the city's underground aquifer can pulse through these pipes at 10,000 gallons a minute, filtered, purified, and sent to taps in thousands of homes and businesses. But this spring, the city abruptly shut the plant down.
We know that there's this contamination out there. We don't know exactly what it does, but we know it's not going away.
Tests detected elevated levels of man-made chemicals known as per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS. They're colorless, tasteless, and scientists say potentially dangerous to human health over time.
You lost confidence that these filters could take it out and guarantee the water is safe.
We don't have enough confidence to go to drinking water supply at this time using just granular activated carbon.
The indefinite shutdown turned off a source of drinking water for 60,000 residents, raising concerns about safety.
You know, there's so many memories growing up here.
Patty Daggett's old neighborhood on the city's south side is still scarred by tap water poisoned in the 1980s by an industrial spill of the chemical solvent trichloroethylene, or TCE. Daggett swam in the contaminated water as a child and drank from the tap in her home. In 2014, at age 47, she was diagnosed with a rare form of blood.
No, that's not cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. But it's like, swam in the water and drink it. It's like, oh, god damn. Oh, man. Sorry, guys. That was tasteless. I apologize. Cataclysmic eruptions. Bubonic plague and famines. 536 AD. The year the sky went dark. Get ready for your dark winter, right? Nothing new under the sun. And it says, you wake up to a dark, dreary, glum-feeling Monday type of morning, but the 547th consecutive day, just 18 months prior, you were a hardworking farmer gearing up for another bountiful crop season before the skies went dark. From early 536 to 537 and 3 6s, right? 666 and 536, right? 5 and 6, 11, right? Or 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. And 1 plus 4 is 5. And 537, once again, 5 and 3. That's the Masonic black cube, right? 515. And then they say dark across, and 7, right? Which is judgment. Across much of the Eastern Europe and throughout Asia, spring turned into summer and fall gave way to winter without a day of sunshine. Like a blackout curtain over the sun, millions of people across the world's most populated countries squinted through dim conditions, breathing in chokingly thick air and losing nearly every crop that they were relying on to harvest. This isn't a plot of dystopian TV or drama of a fantastical docufiction production. This was a harsh reality for millions of people that lived through that literally dark time, or as some historians have declared, the very worst year ever to be alive. You think the darker or darkest year ahead of the darkest decade. For the sun gave forth its light without brightness, like the moon during this whole year, and it seemed exceedingly like the sun in ellipse. For the beams it shed were not clear, nor such as it's accustomed to shed, was the grim account. Procopius, a prominent scholar who became the principal Byzantine historian, and remember, Byzantine is in the Nostradamus prophecies, Byzantium, right? And it's talking about Babylon, just saying. Historian of the 6th century, and gave an history of the wars. And from the time when this thing happened, men were free neither from war, nor pestilence, nor any other thing leading in death. Some 1,500 years later, Harvard University medieval historian Michael McCormick has reached a similarly grim conclusion about not just 536, but the dreadful decade that followed that terrible year. For people living across Europe in 536, it was the beginning of one of the worst periods to be alive, if not the worst year. It was all set off by a rapid, drastic climate change in the spring of 536, a volcanic eruption triggering the late antique Little Ice Age, and its ramifications on top of ensuing eruptions in 540 and 547 were devastating. And that's 9, and that is 6. Aerosols were the big volcanic eruptions blocked solar radiation, dropping the solar heat from the Earth's surface, wrote McCormick in an email, adding that climate analysis from Cambridge University in the UK done on tree rings shows that the average summer temperature dropped between 1.5 and 2.5 degrees Celsius across Eurasia. That's up to 2.7 and 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit cooler due to heavy smog left behind after the eruption. Now, think about this, though, just for a minute, right? In this time where the sky goes fucking dark like that, and they said the sun appeared to be like eclipsed. Volcanoes erupting, right? Them in total darkness. Could it be that possibly the system or something that we are now getting ready to deal with passed at a further distance or something? You know, like the reason that we see these things happening over and over and over, because it's a cyclical event, and whatever is taking place this time, we watched it inch closer and closer. Like in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, I think we have got more akin to what we would experience now. That's why when you look at the biblical timeline, not all events are created equal, right? Like you've got Joshua's long day, right, where the sun stands still in the sky, or you have, Sodom and Gomorrah, or the Exodus, the parting of the Red Sea, all of these different events that are all describing, the passing of this comet planet. And I wouldn't say it was 29P or anything like that, but I know 29P does seem a lot like what people would describe as this thing. And then, you've got modern accounts of this as well. The fall of the modern Roman Empire. That was another time, right? And it always happens when the Great Conjunctions take place too, which is also strange. You'll see every time the 400 and 800 years ago when the Great Conjunctions happened, similar events, similar events. And now, we just had a great conjunction, and we're getting ready to go into a dark winter. Why is that? Why would the winter be dark? Why is this happening? Matter of fact, excuse me, I don't know why I got the yawn so bad. Where's it at here? Look at this. This is in the Arctic. See that? From the iron oxide or whatever is coming off of this shit. You got the largest hole in the ozone ever recorded now in the Arctic. The ice melting at an unprecedented level, to the point that where they're like ringing the alarm on this shit. They're saying, hey, the Doomsday Glacier is getting ready to give. And we know Lost Book of Inky, when it did, sent the tidal wave or the tsunami. So you won't have to worry about La Palma and all of that if this happens, right? That'll be what generates a tsunami. Or perhaps it'll be more. And these mystery booms that people are hearing, could it be from things like this, right? That we're seeing all over the place? This is like occurring on a regular basis. Look at that. Bright fireballs streaking down. This is happening all the time, everywhere, every day. So many that we don't even hear half of those that are being reported. Not even close to half that are being reported, matter of fact. And you look on any of these all sky cams. Look at that. You can see the rotation of this object as it goes past. It's rotating. That's not a lens flare. A lens flare doesn't rotate like that. Doesn't rotate like that. That's a reflection of something in the sky. And we've proven time and time again that they're using things in the sky to hide something, to obscure something. Right? Right there. Strange shit. Especially knowing that the 24th of this month, NASA and their double asteroid redirection test, you know? How many of these have you seen?
What you're looking at is Nibiru next to our sun. It's crazy. This is the first time that I've clearly got it. So you can see what looks like two suns. And wow, it's amazing. But yeah, this shit is over, man. You can go outside and see the shit for yourself. There's two suns. This is why they're constantly spraying. They're trying to hide it. But clear as day, you see it. What you're looking at is Nibiru next to our sun. It's crazy. This is the first time that I've clearly got it.
She said, that's crazy. This shit is over, man. Yeah. That's all you can do is laugh. I mean, for real. What else you gonna do? Cry? You know, it's not gonna help you any. So, millions of locusts swarming Trinidad, infesting homes, plaguing residents, and devastating crops. As if enough crops weren't devastated, you know. I feel like I've damn near lost my voice screaming this shit out for the last couple of years and pointing out, hey, there's this, there's that. Like, all of this is happening to the point that I see other YouTubers now regurgitating the same shit that I've said now because they're figuring it out too. It's like, okay, well, we all know, so, you know, all we can do is just really kind of get ready, you know, be prepared for this, be good to each other, you know, and I don't see that, though. It's one thing nobody is doing, in my opinion, you know. Nobody is trying to push people to be better or to push people to be kinder or, you know, just none of that. You don't see any of that. You know, you can sit and gloat all day. Oh, I told you so, but it doesn't improve my world or yours, the fact that I told you so. The only thing that will improve ours is how we act, how we behave, how we respond. Right? That's what makes, in my opinion, that's what defines greatness, is like how you respond in the face of adversity. And you are faced with adversity, whether you fucking realize it or not is one thing, but you are. And we all are, is the point, right? Humanity is. And if this shit isn't enough to like get you hip to what's taking place, then nothing will be, you know? Nothing will be. Let's take a look here. The locust invasion. And it's pretty intense. The people of Princestown have been living in a horror movie for the past 2 weeks. The Moraga locust, or Casconeta virens, have swarmed by the millions, munching through fruit, trees, and ornamental plants and threatening to destroy acres of crops and surrounding farmlands. Cars driving through the area are often covered by the insects, and people walking about the town are constantly swatting away the bugs flying by the thousands. They are getting into homes, cars, and businesses and are resistant to insect repellents.
Swarms of locusts have invaded Princestown over the past week, devouring any foliage in their path. Locust invasions are an annual occurrence in Moruga. The adults feed on crops, go into the Moruga forest, lay their eggs, and when the eggs hatch, the cycle begins again. However, this is the first time thousands of the flying insects have been seen in residential communities in Princestown. Jack Bagwandine, a taxi driver and part-time farmer of New Grant, says the locusts are feeding on any and everything in their sight.
Well, I'm a spinach field. They eating shutine, coconut, peppers, house flowers, plant and thing. Just same hot peppers, sweet peppers, pimento peppers. Have a marijuana tree, they eat it out clean.
He's calling on the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries to assist farmers in the area who are losing their crops to the voracious insects. But he also believes there's a prophetic explanation to the locust invasion.
What happens is like they're just circling and feeding and circling and feeding. I don't know if they could spray it or they could do something. I don't think they could do anything. This is a nature thing taking the course. Locusts at a pass. There's a signs at the time, and the Bible say that.
Damn, son. He said, I don't know if they can do anything. It's the signs of the times. And the Bible says that. Which I love his accent. It says, when the sky darkened over parts of Manhattan, Lothians and St. Croix last morning, residents thought it was a change of weather, a sign of incoming rain or storm. But as a dark cloud descended, thousands of locusts landed on their fruit trees, crops, and plants, devouring everything in sight. I lived here for almost 40 years or so, and this is the first time I've seen anything like this. The sky got dark, and it sounded like rain or thunder to us. That's how loud it was. Then they came down on everything. All our trees in the back, the avocados, I don't know what that is, and they swarmed. And you go outside right now, they will even cover you. That would suck, right? To be covered by locusts. Like reenacting the Egyptian plagues. According to locals, nearby vegetation has been completely cleared by the insects within 24 hours of their arrival, and some have resorted to staying inside to avoid the abundance of locusts. Even passing vehicles, they say, are swarmed when passing through the area. My husband and I were going to the Rio Claro to pick up some things. When driving on the roads, we had to stop and roll up the windows because they were in the thousands, bombarding cars and some dead on the street. It's like reenacting the Egyptian plagues. Okay. That was weird. Unprecedented spread. Okay. What the fuck is going on with this article here? Sorry, guys. The unprecedented spread. And let's see here. Every article just keeps kicking off on this one. Okay. You've seen enough of the crazy locusts, I guess. And it just keeps getting better and better, don't it? Right? The news is better and better. Darkness, darkness, darkness. Right? Every time that we look at something, they're telegraphing the same shit, it seems like. Let me close some of this stuff. And this year's final lunar eclipse is on its way. And when you can see it, the second and final lunar eclipse of 2021 is on the horizon, and people in the U.S. will get a prime view of the event. And it says, according to NASA, when Earth is positioned, and it's on November 19th, 2021, a partial lunar eclipse will occur in hours, and it's positioned precisely between the moon and sun. Earth's shadow falls upon the surface of the moon, dimming it, and sometimes the lunar surface a striking red over the course of a few hours. So remember, when this is the 19th, 1 and 9, right? The lunar eclipse. When it's a lunar, it's a bad omen for Israel. And a blood moon means the coming of a sword. You know, this is... I mean, I get tired of repeating these things for real. However, don't let the partial label fool you. On November 19th, 97% of the moon will be shrouded in the shadow of our planet. So even though the eclipse won't technically be full, the sight will still impress those willing to be up to watch it. Yeah, it's going to be a blood one. The Earth's shadow will appear on the moon at 2:19 a.m. Eastern Time on November 19th. Then over the next 6 hours, the shadow slowly spreads. Yup. Surprising geomagnetic sudden pulse strikes the Earth. Geomagnetic storm watch in effect. G2 moderate. God, that's tiny writing. There we go. And it says that a surprising geomagnetic sudden pulse struck the Earth today, and forecasters at NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center is warning a moderate geomagnetic storm event could unfold over the next 24 to 36 hours with the threat of a geomagnetic storm looming. The SWPC issued a G2 moderate geomagnetic storm watch in effect for the rest of November 3rd and a G1 minor geomagnetic storm watch in effect on November 4th. And it appears several coronal mass ejections erupted from the sun yesterday and the day before, with model guidance suggesting Earth-directed components to a few of them. And in a bulletin issued this afternoon, CMEs took place from the southwest area of the sun to include one associated with a C4 flare in the region 2887. And I wonder what that one is, 2887 and Strong's. Let's take a look real fast. Orderly, Cosmos, yeah. So the order, yeah. I feel like we already looked that one up. Let's close some of this stuff out so you can find where I'm at. Senator Cotton, it's imperative Biden modernizes U.S. nuclear forces while China grows nuclear arsenal. And I seen a video today showing Biden and how he's probably Trump. It was actually a good one. I'll have to find that one. Oh, shit.
They're building in Western China, which is a big change from their current nuclear forces. They, of course, have bomber aircraft as well as submarines. And as you mentioned, published reports just a couple weeks ago suggest they have not just traditional intercontinental ballistic missiles, which travel in a predictable pattern and therefore are susceptible to missile defenses, but now hypersonic glide vehicles, which travel 5 times the speed of sound, and as well as travel in unpredictable patterns, making them harder to defend against. This is obviously China's effort to race to reach nuclear parity with the United States and perhaps one day surpass us. That would be very dangerous to the United States, not just because of the threat those nuclear weapons pose to their use, but their ability to deter the United States.
And just a response to a couple comments. Wonder how many sheep wear masks in the shower? That's pretty funny. I bet a lot of them do. I wonder if they wear masks while they're having sex too. That would be pretty wild. Somebody might get into that though, you know. And somebody said something about the light family is strong. I'm sorry you're seeing darkness. No, I see light too. Definitely. I see light too. But it's my job to see darkness. So that's why I see it. I'm intentionally seeing it because there's a lot of it, and I think that we would be ignorant to ignore that
You
fact.
are more than a maker.
Sometimes we dilute ourselves by thinking, you know, somehow everybody is on this righteous path with us. They're not. Most people aren't. And I'm not just concerned about the light family. I'm concerned about the human family. All people, not just people who watch this or anything like that. So that's, you know, that's how I feel. I don't feel right segregating myself from the rest of our brothers and sisters of the world. Like, I think it's a shame that people have been trapped and tricked and all the shit that's happened to them. It sucks. And most of the people who think they're in the light family actually aren't on top of that, right? Most of them are living lives just like the other people. This is a fad to them, you know. This is something cool to do or cool to look at. It's entertainment, and their lifestyles don't reflect. So, and that's a problem. If our lifestyles did, then we could really, you know, create a change and not have to go through all these lessons that we're going to, you know. And it's real easy, especially with the dead internet, to get caught in an echo chamber and only see what you're into. So I understand your perspective, your point of view, right? I get a culture shock a lot because I'm in this stuff so much, but when I step out into the real world, I'm reminded this is not prominent whatsoever, not even close to prominent. This is very, very minuscule and very obsolete compared to what everybody else is doing, right? Nobody cares about their spirit anymore, and that's the truth. Right? That's the truth. People can be conscious of certain shit. You've got the whole fake Gaia bullshit TV movement, right? There's a lot of that nonsense, but the real deal, there's not much. And when we are constantly watching things that reinforce our beliefs, we get a false paradigm that's created, right? To where we believe the world is like that, or we believe that something is true that is not. And that's what the whole dead internet theory is about. Is how AI is using algorithms, or our feeds basically, to essentially create a false paradigm around each and every one of us, reinforcing our beliefs as a sort of an echo chamber. And it happens to me, and I know it happens to you too, whether you're aware of it or not. It happens to us all, right? That's what it's trying to do, is to put us in a box. Put us in a box, and I just live outside of that box. So, or I try my best to live outside that box. China mocks powerless Biden over climate summit apology. President Xi Jinping, meanwhile, has attended the conference virtually. China has taken President Biden's comments in Glasgow Climate Summit as a chance to mock the president as powerless, despite the absence of President Xi Jinping from the conference. Biden spoke at the opening of the COP26 UN Climate Summit on Monday, stressing the need for action and solidarity, while also using the moment to apologize for the fact the U.S., under the last administration, pulled out of the Paris Accord. I guess I shouldn't apologize, but I do apologize for the fact that the United States, under the last administration, pulled out of the Paris Agreement. That kind of put us behind the 8 ball a bit, Biden said, and now they're fucking mocking and laughing at his bitch ass. Beijing-backed news outlet The Global Times published a piece the following day that ridiculed Biden's noble apology. The report highlighted the discord between American voters, noting some comments online from netizens who cannot wait until 2024 when the Republican Party, or even Donald Trump himself, apologizes for Biden's apology. The report attempts to highlight the more controversial side of the climate change discussion in the U.S. and played up the differences between Biden and former President Donald Trump. Zhu Lang, an associate professor at the School of International Relations at the Beijing International Studies University, claimed that such displays by American leaders showed the declining U.S. Sure the fuck did. Sure did. I don't even know Biden's probably not a real person, guys. I mean, honestly, he's probably like a synth or something. But if he is, that old motherfucker has no clue that his goofy comments make us look so weak. And if he does, I'd be surprised. He's probably one of those dudes who like practices in the mirror before he goes and speaks, and it's like watches his own press conferences and shit. That's what he reminds me of. Solar storm brings the northern lights to the northern U.S. Strong solar storm creating aurora-friendly conditions so far south as Pennsylvania, Iowa, and Oregon this week, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Space Weather Prediction Center, the sun released 2 coronal mass ejections on November 1st and 2nd, and CMEs are eruptions in the sun's atmosphere and blast our magnetic field into space, and in this case, toward Earth. Awesome. China says U.S. bringing world closer to nuclear war after a U.S. military report.
PRC has stepped up efforts to intimidate and pressure Taiwan and other allies and partners, including increasing their military activities conducted in the vicinity of Taiwan, the East China Sea, and the South China Sea, which we believe are destabilizing and only increase the risk of miscalculation. Our support for and defense relationship with Taiwan remains aligned against the current threat posed by the People's Republic of China, and we urge Beijing to honor its commitment to the peaceful resolution of cross-strait differences as delineated in the 3 communiques. We take no position over the sovereignty of Taiwan, on sovereignty over Taiwan. We will continue to support a peaceful resolution of cross-strait issues consistent with the wishes and best interests of the people of Taiwan. And our commitment to Taiwan is rock solid and contributes to the maintenance of peace and stability across the strait and within the region.
Promise of peace and stability, man, before sudden destruction. Yeah. Good news. Chinese official responded to the Pentagon's latest reports on China's military power and comments shared with Newsweek, and it says it's the United States, not China, that is bringing the world closer to nuclear war. The Department of Defense released on Wednesday the annual report on military and security developments involving the People's Republic of China, covering a wide range of assessments regarding China and its People's Liberation Army, the world's largest armed forces and the top military competitor of the U.S. Among the more notable findings was the observation that China was, quote, accelerating the large-scale expansion of its nuclear forces while it was seeking to modernize and diversify. The report noted that the current number of Chinese warheads is believed to be in the low 200s, but stated that this number was expected to grow. Yeah, you fucking think they just did? I just showed an article yesterday that said that they were going to get up to over 1,000 nuclear warheads. So yeah, to say they only have 200 is stupid, but you know, Americans are stupid, so we probably believe it. China has upped nuke production. See, it worried U.S. would start war before 2020 election, report says. A new Pentagon report also says that the then Defense Secretary Mark Esper directed General Mark Milley to make a controversial call to a Chinese general prior to the U.S. election. Let me make this a little bigger here. And this is that sack of shit trader I was talking about earlier. It says China has accelerated its nuclear weapons production, expanded its missile program, and was worried the U.S. would start a war before the 2020 election, according to a new Pentagon report. The report also notes that the Defense Secretary Mark Esper directed Joint Chief of Staff Chairman General Mark Milley to make a reassuring phone call to his Chinese military counterpart in the run-up to the election, which was among several calls Milley made to China that later sparked accusations from Republicans that he was disloyal to then-President Donald Trump. He was disloyal. Matter of fact, he said that he would call China if we were going to strike them. If you're an American general, let me just put this plainly, if you're a fucking general in an army, you should probably be hung for even doing what he did. And if it would have been, you know, a couple decades ago, he probably would have been a firing squad or something, or at least never seen the light of day again. But here in America now, what we do is we reward traitors. We reward people that confuse children's gender and demasculinize men and defeminize women. We reward anything abstract, ugly, distorted, satanic, upside down, or perverse. And we reward weakness, right? That's what we do. We criticize. And we attack greatness, anything good, wholesome, pure, balanced. We go after that. We deplatform anything that's true as we propagate and spread lies like a virus through the minds of the world. And there's no doubt in my mind who the capital of Babylon is. It is in the United States and it's in New York City, right? And that's why we're in deep shit on this patch of land. Across the world, because when destruction comes to our doorstep, and it will, this place is going to be fucked because of the sins of our brothers and sisters and our ancestors in this time too. It hasn't happened so much as, you know, we can blame it way in the past and slavery and all of that, but look at what happens now. It's never stopped. It's only gotten worse. Now, instead of enslaving one group of people, they enslave everybody and make you have the illusion that you're free. You're not. You never were. If you were, then they couldn't take your freedoms from you. Now, could they? Right? The answer is no, they couldn't. Right? Because if you're truly free, then you're free. You're free. They can't take it from you because you're free. But you had privileges because you were a slave. They granted you permission to do those things. So that means they can take them also. You were just under an illusion, right? To get you to buy in wholesale to the idea of America. Because that's what it is an idea. That's why it has to be destroyed now, because it's an idea. An idea they no longer need and that no longer serves the agenda of where they're taking us. And most of you will not see the other side of that. That's a fact. Most of you won't. Almost all of you probably. Myself included. Right? And we probably don't even want to see it, just to be real. We all know, time is ticking on all of this. We got to see some ugly, nasty things. And the only thing I really I hold on to is the fact that we're not from this world, and everybody who's talking about a bright, new, and shiny day and shit like that, like, where? You mean here? On this planet? My bright, new, shiny day is not here. It's not here at all. I look forward to the next place. Period. I don't put no faith in anything in this one. And I don't think it'll ever be realized here either. This is a new heaven and a new earth. Guess what that means? The old was destroyed. Alright, something happened to where it couldn't have been had there. And we're witnessing that something right now. And, I'm not heartbroken over it, not one bit. Anybody who's ever lived a life without complete privilege knows what this world has, knows what this world gives, and knows what one receives in this world, right? For being good, for doing good things. It's a punishment to good people. That's what this world does. They punish good people. They punish good values. Because it's corrupt. It's corruption. This is corruption. When you put on incorruptibility, you're not putting on the world, man. You're taking it off. You're taking it off. You're putting on the spirit. See, so many people, oh, yeah, we're going to have this and we're going to have that after all this happens. No, we're not. You might, because you're going to buy into the fucking bullshit they're spinning for you. But it's on another level, another plane of existence, one far higher than this, where you'll reap your reward, where you'll get the benefits of your efforts, right? Anybody counting on it down here is going to be fucking disappointed. That's the truth. That's the truth. And the light that's coming into the world is simply meant to destroy it. That's what it's meant to do. That's why Christ didn't come to bring peace. He brought a sword. You get me? So why do we have this idea that this is the place to be, that we should all cling to this, that we should all stay here, and that, oh, we just got to go through some troubling times, and then one day this is going to be a paradise too? Where'd you read that at? Let this place go. This is the illusion. This is the illusion. Period. You are the illusion. I am the illusion. And as long as we buy into the illusion, we will be tricked. That's what illusions do. They're not really there. They're not real. I've been doing this for so long, and that's the thing that kind of gets me down sometimes, is that even the people that are aware and awake still try to find a reason that it'll all work out here. It's like, have you been listening? You been paying attention at all? Or is this just what you want it to be instead of what is? Sometimes those two things don't connect. They're not the same always. And that's okay. See, God has a different understanding of things than you and I. You know, we get heavy in the heart when we think about all of this being destroyed and, you know, there being no more. But he knows better. He knows what's after. Right? This was just meant to be a stepping stone to something bigger and better. You wouldn't stay in school for eternity, would you? Because that's what this is. It's a school. It's a chance to learn. The good and the evil. The good and the bad, right? The duality of this reality. So you can see what happens when you polarize yourself from one extreme to another. So you can see what happens when you divide yourself in any way. Because that's what duality is. Division of self. Right? I'm white, Republican, blah, 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 right? Hetero, blah, blah, blah. Like, these are the different divisions you're creating, what you're identifying with these labels. And they're broken down into collectives. But what are they collecting? They're collecting souls. They're collecting souls. We are all one. And we are God. We are Him. And those who realize that will return to it. Those who don't, won't. It's that simple. And that's what hell, I think, probably really is to be separated from that forever. It's to just forever, eternally, you know, be separate from that love and light and understanding and the unison of everyone and everything. Like, that would suck. That would be a shitty eternity. But when you identify as the individual, right, as a separate entity from everything, right, you become Samael, right? It is I who am God alone, right? You become that. And look at everyone around you and their self-centered existence. Every thought in their fucking little minds is on how they can improve their lives, how everything can serve them. What's the saying? I love me some me, right? That's 99.999% of the world. Every thought, even heaven. So you say, if I'm good, I get rewarded? I got you, God. Like God serves you too. Bullshit. And see, that's what Christ's whole thing was. He was showing you the inverse of that. What happens when someone actually serves others or actually sacrifices? That's actually the key to escape. So like I said, there's a million people that think they're awake, think they're aware, think they're conscious, but they only do the shit to serve themselves, so they still don't get it. They only claim to follow God for their reward. They still don't get it. Or they do this and talk it all the time, but they never do nothing for nobody else. They still don't get it. That's what it's about, guys. Straight up. Don't take a genius to figure it out. Don't take a holy man, a false fucking prophet, none of that to figure out. It's what you find when you actually go inside yourself. People say, what is my purpose? What is my calling? I know what it is. It's to serve others. It's to serve others. Find something to serve others, and I guarantee you find your calling. Guarantee it. Your calling isn't going to be a self-serving one. So you can eliminate basically 98% of the ideas you had in your head. Because that's what we gravitate towards. That's our physical survival mechanism, right? How we can better ourselves, how we can get more, how we can do this, right? It's what we do. It's like programmed into our genetic code for our physical survival. And that's why still you look into the conscious community or the woke community, whatever you want to call them. They still got this idea that down here in the physical, it's all going to work out. And if it does, great, right? Great. It's awesome. I'm glad you're satisfied with just staying at this level. I'm glad it pacifies you to stay at this state of awareness. But I seek something more, something higher, and I'm telling you, you don't get there until you lose this. Lose this and lose the mentality that everything has to serve this. And that's why it's such a lonely walk, I think, when you really are in the truth. Because people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that they're selfish. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that they have to give up things for themselves. Not something they want to hear either. They don't want to hear that all this is going to pass away and that it's meaningless. Not on the list of things either. They don't want to hear anything that tells them that they're not the center of the fucking universe. And that everything is meant to pacify, serve them. That's all they want to hear. And in one way they're right? It is all for us, but it's for us, not you. And we're just bringing back the awareness to ourselves. That's all we're doing. I'm experiencing this experience of awareness to bring back to us. You are another experience to bring it back to us. Right? That way we have infinite understanding of the infinite awarenesses that are out there. That's what it's for. That's what the individual was meant for. So the whole could experience all of it simultaneously. And when we come back with that understanding, right, we have to level up to even return home. And everybody will return eventually, I think. I think everybody will at one point in time. There's going to be one point in time where the Father or God decides to withdraw his attention from whatever this is. Right? This dream that we live in. He's going to decide to take it back. And when he does, everything returns back with it. You know, so it would be nice to see people catch on now. I believe, like, if we could catch on without a bunch of bad things happening, we would. But there's something about it that we can't. I mean, we could, but we won't, is the thing. We won't. We won't catch on without all the bad shit happening. We have to experience the horror, right? The reality of our choices. And isn't that what refinement is? Isn't it? When you face your shadow, when you face yourself, what are you facing? Your bad choices, your bad decisions. The things you attach to. The things you cling to. That's what you're facing. And it's not till you overcome them, transmute them, right? Turn them from bad to good. Do you grow and get bigger, become more? So, you know, I just really hope everybody can get it together, because time is short. You know, time is short. But it's only short here, though. You know, it's only short here. That means the time to learn, though. The window is closing for you to get it. And I want you to get it, and I want everybody to get it. I really do. But see, that's what they put these things out for. Oh, there's food shortages. Oh, there's hyperinflation. Oh, there's cataclysms. Oh, there's this, there's that. That's the story. Right? That's the story. It's the result of what we've created. Right? It's turning around back on us. It's our shadow. We're facing it now as a collective. We're facing the collective shadow now. Not everybody's going to transmute it, by the way. Most will be devoured by it, which would have happened to you too if you didn't face your own. Right? When you have your dark night of the soul, when you do your shadow work, if you don't face it, it consumes you. It destroys you. The I am is devoured by the shadow when you don't overcome it. Now look at all of us as a collective. Look what's being manifest as a collective. Take yourself out of the individual for a moment and look at the collective. It's our shadow. We've manifest our shadow. What are we going to do with it? Are we going to face it, overcome it, or be devoured by it? And everything that is manifest and created, notice, it's playing to your desire to be selfish, to your desire to serve self, to your desire to be separate. Every bit of it is playing to that, because that's what's created all of it. What do you think they think you're going to do with gas shortages, food shortages, this and that? Oh, people are panic buying. Why? Because they want to make sure they get it before someone else does. Right? They'll fight over it next. Scratch and claw. Then selfless kind acts disappear. They've already really disappeared, haven't they? For the most part. That's why 2 years ago when I was saying, hey man, don't start stuffing your mattress full of dollar bills. It's not going to do you any good. I meant it. You notice how it's not going to do you any good now? Do you see that now? It's not. Still. But what will do you good? Because we're facing our collective shadow, when we sow into it. We sow into it. See, people can't see it. Their minds are so small. Their vision is so little. They only see a sliver of everything. They can't see the forest for the trees, right? If they could, they would know the key. They would know the answer. If this is your collective shadow you're facing, then what the fuck would be the obvious thing to do? To conquer it and overcome it. How could you do that? If it's made on selfish, separatist desires. To be selfless, to be sacrificing, to sow into goodness. That is how you conquer it. That is the only way you will survive, flat out. You can buy up 6 grocery stores, dig a ditch 30 stories underground, and be by yourself the entire time, and it's not going to do you any good. It's a collective thing. It's going to weed your ass out of there, and you will die. Spiritually, for sure. And if you live physically, you'll wish you had died. There's no avoiding all of this. right? Even the Hopi prophecy, they talk about the deep underground military bases, right? They talk about only people that seek that dig this stuff underground, right? It's only people of darkness that seek that kind of refuge, right? We're protected by the Spirit. We don't need fucking deep underground military bases. It's only worldly people who seek those things. Only worldly people who shove their mattress full of money, or, go turn their whole house into a fucking commando center because they think the world's ending. That's worldly. I used to be one. I was the worst, too. I was the worst. I had fucking everything you could imagine. I drove my baby's mom crazy with it. I'm like, hey, I'm ready. And then one day, it just hit me. Well, God hit me, I guess. Like, none of this will matter. If I decide you die on day one, you die on day one. So instead of storing up the shit in the physical, store up your treasure in heaven. The kingdom of heaven is in here. How do we store up that treasure? By giving our love to others. It's only one way. And if you don't serve the God of love and peace, well, you'll be happy and at home in this world. Because nobody else does either. And anybody who does is essentially persecuted for it, hated for it. That's why Christ said they hated me first. It all starts to make sense as we see it unfold. It sucks it took us so long to get it, or to see it, but at least we do. At least we have before it's all over. So, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it with that, man. I thank you guys so much for joining me, for watching, for all that you do. I can't tell you how privileged I am to be able to do this and just do it with you guys. You guys are the best. And I've had a great ride down here. I don't know about you. Sure. Yeah, to become brighter, the more darkness you find. Well, here's the thing. Like, if you're not the light, then how is everybody else going to see? Because the rest is darkness. So you have to become the light to lead the way for others. Without you, there is nothing but darkness. I hope you take that as a personal challenge, like I really do. And I said this last couple of times, like, I challenge people. Just try it for 7 days, I swear to you. And I wouldn't tell you something I don't practice myself. Like, I would not say it if I didn't try it or do it consistently. 7 days, man. Practice speaking or writing the things you want to manifest. Right? And one selfless act. One selfless act. I don't care what it is, but give of yourself just to one other person once every day. For 7 days, start there. For a week, try those things. Speaking and writing what you want to manifest with your thoughts and intentions. Right? And attract the good things to you. But you would attract them with the understanding that the abundance you have is to give to others. Right? The abundance we get is so we can bless others. That's what it's for. When I ask for wisdom and I ask for knowledge from the Father, I don't ask for it to keep to myself. I say, Father, give me something so I can share it with these people. Right? Like, that's the only reason I receive, is because He knows I'm going to give it right away as soon as I have it. Right? So we have to have that same mentality. And notice, Christ, he did the same thing, right? He traveled person to person, right? Home to home. The Son of Man has no place to rest his head, right? No place to call home, right? That's what he's saying. He's saying, when you got it, give it, right? The Son of Man isn't going to build up a house and a storeroom and all of that to store up things for himself, is what he meant, right? It's a spirit. The spirit doesn't dwell in just one temple. So it doesn't belong to you. And that's what taking the Lord's name in vain means. It means taking it in vanity. Taking it for you, for yourself. It's not yours. So all these thus saith the Lord pieces of shit out there, no, he don't thus saith nothing through one person. He speaks through all of us. And in all kinds of ways. All kinds of ways. That's why we don't worship men. Because they're not his mouthpiece. None of them are. Christ was an example for you to follow. So you could be one too. So you could do it too. He wanted you to have what he had. That's what he said. Right? He was tempted 40 days in the desert to be worshipped. Right? King of the world, right? He didn't want none of that. Yet that's what they turned him into. That's what they turned him into. And I see a lot of people starting to get it now. And I hope people continue to get it. Well, thank you, Tori. Wise words. Thank you. Oh, I love you, Leaf. Thank you, guys. I appreciate all that you guys do. I really do, man. We'll see your ass out there, John. Hopefully. It's hard to help yourself not to see it. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Tori Woodall, Sterling Bruno. You watch the Son of Man movie, you get it? Donna Cagle, Leaf, Dom, Shelly Philippi, Big K Boom, Patty Statler, Phoenix I Am, Graceful Heart, Gabriel Ariana, Tim Hamby. Thank you guys. You guys are shit. Lee Connor Noel. I appreciate all of y'all for real, man. Everybody that watches, just watching. It's a big deal to me. Migraine, you're Olafor. I know who you are, man. Esmeretti. Thank you. Awesome. LNFF. Hell is Earth. Welcome back, John. Yeah, thank you. Hell is Earth. Welcome back to you, too. All right, guys. If you can, for me, everybody in the chat, please hit the thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. Leave a comment after the video's over. And just, I don't know, I've talked about 10,000 things. You could say what you think about some of them, or you can say, hey, I don't like you, John, or whatever. I don't care. I don't care if you thumbs down me, as long as you're engaging. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Share the links. That helps a lot. They shadow ban the hell out of me, and they're doing it to a lot of people now. I see it happening to a lot of people, to where they're barely getting viewed or anything. So if you can, share the links, that helps a ton. By, manually sharing them, whatever you're watching on, whatever social media you use. Please consider donating and supporting to the channel. There's one way to give, right? And if you don't want to give to me, give to another creator. Like, if I'm not your favorite or somebody that you like to watch, then give to somebody else then. Because the truth is important, and spirituality is important, and it's going away. It's going away. Like, it really is. And it's so hard now for a creator that does this, especially. They're making it almost impossible, guys. I mean that. It's almost impossible. So without your help, I can't do it, and I know others can't either. So I'm just keeping it real on that one. So we do need your support, most definitely. And everybody who does, you can get access to the private content, whether you join Patreon or one of the channel memberships or whatever, or you go through PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. I'll text 513-393-2396 or email therealbestdampodcast@gmail.com and just put links and I'll send those out to you. I'll be doing the private show on Discord tomorrow night. So anybody who's never seen those, I've got a really cool one for tomorrow. I almost did it tonight. That's how pumped I am to do it. So hopefully you guys will join me tomorrow night on the Best Damn Podcast Discord. The link is down in the description below. I think we're about 1,000 members strong there, or almost around that on our Discord, which I would like to see more, always. I'm always wanting more people. So join the Discord. It's free to join, guys. Like, everybody can join it and shit. Follow me. Twitter, The Real Best Damn, Instagram at Best Damn Podcast, and you can check out the bestdampodcast.tv. And I don't know, I think that's about it, y'all. So good words tonight. Oh, thank you, Dom. I appreciate that. I try. I don't know what I'm gonna say before I say it. You know, I don't. And to me, that's served me. You know, back in the day when I first started doing this, I used to write down fucking notes and, you know, all of this, and there was just something that wasn't, it was just artificial to me. Like, it's not organic, you know? Like, when the Spirit moves through you, it moves through you, you know? And I think, like, that's what's fake about church and shit like that. It's all orchestrated. It's a show, you know? Television, it's a show. It's a program. Someone is setting out an itinerary for you to follow, and I don't do it like that, you know. So if I suck one night, I just suck that night, and it's okay, you know. Maybe I won't, you know, in a couple more nights, but we all gonna let the Spirit move through us and keep our channel open to that. We gotta take care of our temple and take care of our minds. To be a good vessel for that Spirit, man. It's not going to come in a dump truck, you know what I mean? So if you're, like, fucking yourself up with shit, like, it doesn't come to you that way, you know? You got to be a good vessel for it. And I think you guys are. We're all fit to be a vessel for it. We just got to be willing to receive it and willing to give it. It ain't going to give it to you if you're not going to share it. That goes with anything. You don't receive unless you're willing to give in abundance. And I'm not talking about of the world. I'm talking about of the Spirit. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Well, good night to you, Phoenix. I appreciate you. Okay. I'm never going to reach your standards there. What about our Merkaba? Will that help us when the time comes? Of course it will. Of course it will. I believe our Merkaba is like our spiritual vehicle that we create through our vibration, our frequency, our consciousness. If you look at some of the kind of older depictions about Merkabas, a lot of beliefs where when the poles shift, the Earth's magnetic field or the firmament rolls back, and that exposes us to space or whatever the hell is out there, and that's what actually wipes our memory away, right? So when you look at all the ancient cultures, how we can't remember none of it, right? When we look at them all, we're like, damn, we got wiped out here, we got wiped out there. Well, it's because every time the reversal happens and the crossing happens, right, the transition happens where we shift up and we shift down, because there's always both in duality. We're a host body, two bodies. Some of us shift up, some of us shift down in frequency. So whenever that happens, we get our memory wiped, so we don't remember it. And we start over again. Those who are in the higher state, like Thoth, right, generate a Merkaba, right, like a large electromagnetic field of their consciousness, which protects them from that shift. And they can actually retain that memory in their DNA, their genetics, their code, right? And that's probably what you would call like an ascended master or something. Someone who's already mastered this in one previous incarnation. And because they were able to create and hold the Merkaba, they were able to return and have that, still in their DNA to be able to share now. You may have been one of them. I may have been one of them. I don't know, but I do believe in the Merkabahs for sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I love you all, man. And remember, Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. God bless you guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.